Hey everybody, the year 1978, the album Woody Allen stand-up comic. It goes by several different labels. 3 different albums are kind of combined into this one. We've talked about it before, but this time we're talking about it with Jim Hamilton. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I mean, I don't know that I would have necessarily pegged, and not that it's right to try and peg somebody for what they might like based on their comedy, but this wouldn't be the first thing I might think of if I think of you. So I'm just curious, what's important about this album to you?
Well, when I was starting out in Madison, Wisconsin, I was kind of unique to the scene there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of road comics and stuff. There was, and an older guy said I reminded him of a young Woody Allen.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know anything about Woody Allen.
Okay.
Except for the tabloid stuff. And,
Sure.
You know, I didn't know anything, and so I kind of took it as an insult, and he could see that I took it as an insult.
Uh-huh.
He's like, no, check out his early work. He's like, I think you'll like it. And so that was that, and I didn't bother to look it up or anything. And then I was at a friend's house, who was like my writing partner and comedy partner kind of at the time. And I saw he had Woody Allen's Without Feathers on his bookshelf, and we had been smoking weed, and I grabbed it, and I laughed so loud a million times over.
Yeah.
And I was reading it back to him, although he's read it front to back probably a million times, and I couldn't stop reading it to him.
Uh-huh.
And so then the next day I went out and found the album. This is the one I found, was Stand Up Comic. And, you know, it was... I could see why he thought I sounded like Woody Allen, even though, you know, Midwestern Gentile.
Sure. But still, no, I mean, there's definitely... How different or similar was your delivery to what it is now at the time? I mean...
It was, now I'm strictly like a one-liner comic, but back then I was more stories with lots of punchlines.
Okay.
So that was more similar to Woody Allen.
I can see that, yeah.
But my biggest influence prior to that would have been Emo Phillips by far.
Yeah.
And so just absurd stories that kind of coalesce into something tangible and real, even though they're so absurd. And so, yeah.
That makes sense. And I'm all, I do hear different stories too about how much of Woody Allen's stand-up was like kind of group written or whatever, which is interesting to me just because this stuff is so mind-blowingly good and it seems like it must be coming from one mind. Yeah. That's what's weird to me.
Yeah.
That more than one person could have written this. And he definitely, obviously he had a personality and he had a character that you're not going to find anymore. Was your early stuff, because you do have a character. I don't know if I could describe what your character is on stage. Yeah. Do you have an idea? Like, is there a thing to it, or is it just like, no, I know this is just an aspect of my personality?
I think I definitely started just trying to straight rip off emo.
Uh-huh.
I think, you know, so, and then as I got a little better and it shifted closer to who I am. Mm-hmm. So now I don't think of it as a character. I'm just, I guess, kind of a weird dude, or I've taken some of my quirks of being a bad performer and turned them into strengths, over the years. So
right.
If there's a character, that's all it is.
That's awesome. No, I mean, and that's exactly what it ought to be, I think. And Woody Allen's character, I guess we all assume, comes from his insecurities. And at some point, again, if he's playing the same guy in every movie, at this point, you kind of have to, again, assume the same thing. It's not a character. Right. Everybody just assumed it was.
Right.
That person's just so naturally funny. Do you have a favorite bit off this compilation?
I like the moose bit. I think is probably
okay. See, I feel like that's everybody's. It's my favorite bit off of this too, and it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's
a perfect joke. It's a good story joke, but it's also got a little social commentary.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Right. Yeah, it's so absurd, and then it hits you at the end with social commentary, and it all coalesces. That you're like, where's he going with this thing? You know, and he drags it out for so long. Yeah, it's a perfect joke.
Yeah. Is this what's the first comedy album you ever listened to growing up?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I listened to just like, 'cause my parents weren't into comedy albums or anything, but I had an uncle that lived in Indianapolis, and Bob and Tom. I don't know if it was big there. Mm-hmm. And so like I had these Bob and Tom compilation things from my uncle.
Yeah.
And so I remember, I don't even remember who was on those things. I remember, what's his name? I'm going to say Graham Elwood. That's not the guy. He did the song Toast, as I remember.
Oh, wait. Shoot. Yeah, I know the exact bit you're talking about, too.
Yeah, I used to love that one for sure. I remember off of those. But yeah, I watched a lot of comedy on TV, late night stuff. Mm-hmm. I remember the old Conan. Like, I remember just certain people from that struck me as more interesting than the people that were more famous. You know?
Yeah.
Drake Sather I remember liking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I should have. I should have done my memory a little better before I got here.
No. We're here to talk about the album, but I'm always curious, like, if this is like was this the first album that you went out and sought out and bought, comedy wise?
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, probably, and then but after that I started getting more into comedy albums, and so I would hear these stories of these legends that I'd never heard of. All of a sudden, oh, you got to hear this guy Bill Hicks. Okay, I'll go out and get Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
The club I was in good with in Madison, I was close with the owner and stuff. Like Lewis Black recorded his album there, so like I was there for that. And then like Doug Stanhope would come through, so I'd have his albums, and like all these people that would come through, I'd get their albums.
Yeah.
You know? So then that's when I really started listening to comedy and CDs mostly. But.
Sure, of course, yeah. So was it a thing? Was it a matter of like studying? Were you getting these people, or were you just, I love their set, I just want to listen to it over and over again?
I wasn't studying, but I listened to it, and then I was like, oh, that's a trick I could use, or that would something about that. I'm like, okay, I see how he did something different there.
Yeah,
that's something I could pull from. I mean, even the Moose bit, I intentionally wrote a joke on my album to try and emulate the Moose bit. It's a bastardized version of it, but try and get out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's smart. I was going to look at this for a track listing, but that's the problem with this album. It's there is no track listing, so you just got to kind of pull it out of your butt and remember all of it. It's, some people say if you listen to it, you can kind of hear him evolving over 4 years as a stand-up, which is odd because eventually he just totally drops it.
Yeah, I don't, because I never realized, I don't think, that it was multiple albums when I first started listening to it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But having re-listened to it just recently, I was like, oh, you can tell he's much more successful on these.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about doing commercials and movies and stuff like later, and then the earlier stuff is like just about his family and stuff, and his wife and whatever.
I'd be curious to see. We've talked about this before. Would be curious to see if he'd try it again, but I don't know if he'd be any good at it at this point after this many years off.
I don't know. It's, I mean, even listening to it again, you're just like, oh, this is pretty dated, a lot of it, but I mean, it's still really solid. But there was that rumor that it was going to be a double bill of him and Barbra Streisand at like Madison Square Garden.
What? Oh my God!
A few years ago, but that might have been some like New York fever dream or something.
Yeah, right. So Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
All right. What's the comedy scene like there growing up?
Well, when I started, it was, you had your road comics that would go up and do Milwaukee and Appleton and, all little towns in between. And then there was kind of the guy who got me doing stand-up had been doing stand-up up in Green Bay since he was in high school. He came to school in Madison, kept doing it. And then I ended up writing for him on this little public access TV show. And then he's the one that talked me into doing stand-up. And so it was kind of me and him were the young guys, and then some other college kids started doing it. And so that was kind of our little scene, was like 4 or 5 of us, just college kids doing it. Now it's huge. Like, the open mic there I just went was like 40 people, all about college age, But back when we did it, it was like 8 people, and half of them were from Milwaukee driving to Madison to do it. Yeah.
What do you? What's the reason for the boom like that?
I mean, everyone's doing comedy now, it seems like, but it might also be because so there was 2 clubs there when I was there, but now there's one, and that club's been there forever, but it has new owners now, and the owners are much more friendly and nice. The old owners were really awful, and so maybe they scared people away. Or,
yeah.
Maybe comedy's more accessible, so people are trying it more or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Does that help? Do you like seeing like that many people come up and try it out? And
nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't worry that someone's gonna come and take my spot or anything.
Sure.
But there's some people that probably shouldn't be doing it that keep doing it. But,
sure.
But yeah, the more the merrier, I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't go to enough open mics to really to get a feel of it. Again, I'm a comedy album guy. I don't see enough live comedy, so I'm just always curious, like, what it's like to see that many people either learning or like doing it for the first time. I mean, for you, what was it like doing it for the first time? Was it
terribly nerve-wracking?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd gone to the club a bunch of times, and everyone knew that I was writing for this guy, and so I knew all the comics and everything, and then. So that everyone watched when I went up, like all the other comics were watching me, like, oh, this guy who's always in the back of the rooms going up. But I was terrible on stage. Like, just I don't think I talked into the microphone for the first 5 years I did comedy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like looking straight down at my shoes the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was bad.
What got you over that though? Like, what? I mean, because were you into it for the performance of it? What was making you want to keep doing it?
Yeah, I just liked writing, and I was fine with this other guy doing my jokes, but it was becoming where it didn't fit his what he did, and and he was always a big proponent of me doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to write. I just liked writing, so I'm like, okay, this will be an avenue to get into the writing part of it, and then. After many years, the stage fright goes away, and then it's actually fun doing stand-up, but for a long time it was not.
Yeah. Wow. But I guess I don't hear that often enough where, like you say, for maybe it's a little exaggeration, but like you said, for 5 years you're not fully, like, are you not as engaged, or is it you're just scared? Like, are you still engaged?
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I just had to, I was nervous talking too fast, not talking into the mic, but like the owner of the second club that's now closed, but he really took me under his wing and gave me a lot of work and really liked me. Thought I was interesting and had, was doing it differently than other people. And so it was nice. And I just like the environment of being at a comedy club, meeting new people and stuff that are really funny people, So I've always liked that. And you can't just hang around and not do it.
Yeah,
kind of.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of, but he was giving me work a lot of times, and I've quit many times over, and it's always been like one guy that'll keep me doing it a little bit, so.
Sure.
I don't know.
Do you think it's I know it's a common thing for stand-ups to be shy. It's a common thing for any performer to be shy at first, of course. But it seems to be, and I've never interviewed Emo Phillips or Stephen Wright or anybody else, or, obviously, anybody else I might maybe put your comedy in the same camp as. But there does seem to maybe be a little shyness, either it's put on or definitely was there at one point, and they learned to use it in a way where you can like Emo Phillips. I've never met the man. Have you met Emo Phillips?
Yeah, actually, we're pretty good friends now.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so good,
because he's like totally my hero.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't know how much of the voice is what it is, but he does strike me as a guy who must have been a nervous performer at first, and I could be wrong. One of these days I hope to have him on the show and interview him, but like the same thing with Stephen Wright, very quiet, which again could be a deliberate choice.
Yeah.
But again, it seems like it could be a result of being a shy guy.
Yeah, they seem so, they've both been doing it for so long, it's hard, but like it's odd, but it seems natural.
100%. Yeah. And it's the same when I listen to you, and it's now that I'm thinking about it more, not that Woody Allen was a one-liner, but when he did one-liners, it had a very similar flavor.
Right.
Because there's this element of get in, get out, joke's over.
Yeah.
And if I like, not to say that you do this, but if I want to quit right now, I can because my joke's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and hammer out. Although also I do like the very deliberate pacing of your stuff, because I have, where the hell is it? Matt Belknap gave me your album. Okay, and either Matt Belknap or Dave Klock did. One of the two did. Okay.
Yeah.
And when I first listened to it, there are a number of things that strike me. Number two is like, holy crap, I've always wanted to do that joke, and he did it way better than I could have done it. And number two, there is this, you do have a very deliberate pacing about it. And is there any thought behind why you do it that way, or is it just you?
It's definitely been developed over time. I don't know. I never really thought about it, but I don't know. It sometimes my jokes take a little second to sink in. What's going on?
Yeah.
'Cause I like the architecture of jokes or something. I don't know how else to describe it. Not necessarily the words, but like the beats or how you get to the punchline. Mm-hmm. So I'm always trying to invent a new way to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's I probably have never done that, but it's always like a challenge for me to try. Okay. There's like 8 joke structures or something in the world, let's say. Mm-hmm, I'm like, I want to invent the 9th one.
Of course, of course.
And so sometimes the punchlines come from diagonals or something,
Yeah.
Like, so I think I had certain jokes that I knew I had to wait on the audience for, and then it just ended up becoming, okay, I have to wait on a lot of jokes, so that's kind of...
Yeah. But
yeah, pacing-wise, I've been doing it a long time, but not the way I do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And... they're one-liners, but sometimes you have to build momentum, and sometimes you have to let it linger, and you just kind of get a feel for it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is
there... You've got a couple jokes that are, and I can't think of any of his to compare right now, but I know there are a couple that are what I like to call long walk jokes, where you're just building and building to a really ridiculous punchline, and I mean that in the best way possible, because I like a good pun. I like very silly jokes. Is there something about that where you like to have the audience like kind of following and questioning what the hell you're getting to?
Yeah, definitely fun.
I guess the moose joke would be like that, because you don't know where it's going.
Right, and so my rip-off of the moose joke is the duck story.
Yes.
So that was the deliberate, like, moose joke rip-off. Just to see if I could do it and pull off something that just goes forever, going nowhere, and then it coalesces at the end. But no social commentary in it, however.
Right.
But I remember in college, the oldest joke that I still would do occasionally, and it's on the album, about I can't have kids. You know, that's the oldest joke that I still would do, and it. I remember writing it, thinking, okay, this is a good idea, but it's not working, and realizing I had to add more beats to it.
Yeah.
Just a couple more words. It was the way I was doing it was too quick, and so that was the one in my mind where I was like, okay, I learned something new just now.
Yeah.
Words matter. Like, you know, it's the punchline doesn't need to change, but the getting there needs to change.
Right.
So that was kind of an important step in learning how to write a joke.
Yeah. And do you literally write jokes, or are you very much try it out, remember it?
No, I write it. I mean, right now, because Twitter's what made me more of a one-liner type. I just write everything on Twitter and use that as like a notebook, and then, you know, sometimes it's a little too short where you need to add the beats like that, or you need to figure out a little bit on stage, but pretty much when it's written, it's done, you know.
Yeah.
For most of them.
People feel like they're burning jokes on Twitter, but you're okay with it. You don't mind using it and then developing it.
I think it's because sometimes they, standing on their own, they seem kind of dumb, but when you put them in a context, they're like, they work better.
Right.
Know? And yeah, so I don't mind it at all, and I'm not an egomaniac that thinks everyone's reading my Twitter feed. So.
Right. And it doesn't hurt too that you were missing your literal voice on Twitter.
Right.
Yes, your comedic voice is there, but your actual voice is going to play into it. And the fact that you're having a semi-conversation with an audience is there too. Let's see. I'm trying to. So you start out in stand-up there. When do you first start being like? Start moving around and doing comedy outside of your comfort zone?
Outside of Madison, you mean? I did a couple of road gigs, like some headliners that would like me, just regional type headliners would bring me and open for them. You know, I'd be the feature act or whatever, so you're doing like a half hour, 25 minutes or something, and usually like a college town. So I did some of that, and then I moved to Austin, Texas, which I visited. My very good friend had moved there, and she started doing comedy there. Michelle Balloon, who you may know.
I know the name.
She's on a special thing as well.
I don't know her, though.
So she started doing comedy after she moved to Austin. She'd always been funny. We worked on that same TV show together, and but she'd never done stand-up. And so she started in Austin. I went to visit her. I met her friends that were doing stand-up, and I'm like, oh, these guys are way more interesting than the people in Madison that are doing it. And it was, the Chris Fairbanks, you might know.
Yeah.
Was one of the guys. So I moved to Austin, knowing that I was going to move to LA eventually. I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I used Austin as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But it was great to see people doing weird stuff that, nobody in Madison was doing weird stuff except me.
Yeah.
And so it was great to have a better community, I think, in Austin. So
well, that's the other thing too, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but like that's sometimes ego would get in the way where people would be like, well, I was the only weird guy back home, so I stood out. But here you were like, you liked that there were more people to feed off.
And we weren't. I mean, we all had separate voices. Like everyone was doing it differently, so it wasn't. Yeah, it was great. It was, and it's just people I really got along with. People my age. I didn't really have anyone my age in Madison still. Like, I had a couple, but they're usually older guys. So it was fun to go, and then Austin's just a great city, so I was starting to feel old in Madison, just being 24. It's such a college town that at 24 you're like, oh, I'm not in school anymore, and I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. So you get to all right. So when you get to Austin, and I'm sorry to like harp on the whole one-liner thing, but I'm glad that you at least define yourself that way, so I'm not being an ass by assuming, because some people don't want to be labeled, but Was there ever a point where you're like, this is a very weird choice I'm making, or was it just natural for you? Because not most people don't do it because they can't do it. It's not an easy thing.
Some one-liners, it was always like a mixed bag. But like I said, I quit a lot of times, and I moved to LA. Wasn't having good sets. I had every opportunity to get on great shows, just from having known all the people from Austin that had been doing well here, and then also people I'd worked with, Maria Bamford and Paul F. Tompkins helped me get on stuff, So when I got here, I had every chance to succeed, and I just was not having good sets.
Sure.
So I just kind of quit again, and then Twitter came around, and Michelle Balloon signed me up for Twitter. I'm not on Facebook to this day. Like, I'm not a social media guy, and she just, like, signed me up to just follow these 10 people to start, give it a week, see if you like it. I just started writing jokes and then getting tons of followers, and I got a bunch of followers. And then somebody, DJ Doug Pound, actually asked me to do his little show he was doing at this place called Big Fish, and I think it's up Glendale. And I was like, okay, I'll just print out all these Twitter jokes that I think are funny and just read them off the page.
That's awesome.
And it's like, that went pretty well. But even after the first time, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do to make this an actual act. So I knew right away what it was going to turn into the first time I did it. I knew it wasn't there yet, but I knew I could see where it was going.
Yeah.
So that was pretty exciting.
See, that's interesting too, is that there's two comedic instincts working there. There's one where it's just like, I know how to write jokes and I know what I find is funny. The other instinct that is there, and it's a good thing that somebody pulled you out to have you start writing jokes again, is that you know how to turn that into an act.
Yeah.
That is something that is missing from somebody like myself. I'm a joke writer and I can write, but I would not know how to take any of the stuff I write and turn it into a joke. Or an act, I mean.
Right.
I don't have a personality for that I know that I would be able to turn into something that would work for me.
Right.
Did you realize that was like laying dormant in you, that you're like, well, I've got some stuff that would work, or were you just like done? Did you
I was just done. I didn't think I was having any success. I didn't, I wasn't having any fun doing it.
Yeah.
And then, it was just like I was like, okay, I think I'm doing something a little differently than other people, and it's kind of exciting, and I want to see where this goes. And then that's where, like, the whole thing came out of, and was like, it didn't take very long to really figure it out,
Yeah.
The hardest thing is just remembering jokes. There's,
of course.
My album's like 90-something jokes.
Jesus. I was wondering about that. Because only a couple of them are, like you say, a little bit longer, but the rest of them are just like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And, that's crazy. So, let's go back to Woody Allen just for a little bit. Because, first episode's always autobiographical, so that's how I always like to do them. But do you have some other bits on here besides the moose bit that sort of stand out and maybe...
Yeah, I love the joke where he's talking about his ex-wife, and he's like, oh, she was so immature. Tell me if you think this is immature. I'd be taking a bath, and she'd barge right in and sink my boats. It's like such a funny joke.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's such a good joke. There's so many... What was the one? Or just how he does, like... The kidnapping bit's not my favorite bit by any stretch, but I was just listening to that today. I was like, there's a million jokes in this silly story.
Yeah.
It just keeps joke. Like, it feels like he could stop on any word and spin off to a joke, it feels like.
Sure, yeah. It could be over even though he's not gotten to the end of the...
Yeah, but it feels like he knows... when you feel it when it's ending. Like, this is the end of the bit. And maybe it's just because I've heard it so many times or something, but it feels like they all have an ending... Even though there's joke, and then it's like resolution. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, which does, I guess it makes sense that he would eventually become, a filmmaker and somebody who's like a more defined storyteller. Because filmmakers, I feel like, are the people who call themselves storytellers, whereas comics tend to be like, well, no, I tell jokes. Because, filmmakers, being a filmmaker myself, I know how pretentious we can get, and that's why I'd rather fall back on being a joke teller or a joke maker. So, you're exposed to this album through a friend. Did you listen to it with your friend, or did you just buy it?
I just bought it. I just bought it and listened to it on my own, and then I probably loaned it to him. So the guy who told me to listen to it, though, was like, I was friendly with him, but he was such a hack comedian, so I thought it was like an insult. Like, coming from him, I didn't trust that he knew what he's talking about. Then after I read Without Feathers, I immediately went and bought the album, and then definitely listened to it on my own, and then loaned it to him, and
yeah. There are some comics who have interviewed and they get interested in a comedian because of their point of view or their perspective or how they remind them of themselves or they see some. Was it for him just pure? These are great jokes and I just love jokes.
Yeah, they're pure great jokes. Is pretty much it. It was because I mean I don't think I knew a Jewish person back then. You know, like there's nothing I related to. There's references I don't get to this day.
Sure.
You know, which is funny because to me that's interesting. To some people it turns them off, like they think they're being talked down to or something if they don't understand, and they shut off and get really angry. But no, it's, you know, I think that's great that there's things I don't understand. I'm like, okay, I know what this is probably about.
Right.
But just great joke telling, joke writing.
Did you ever share any other albums with anybody else, or was it always more the community of telling jokes with each other?
Oh yeah, I mean we talk about albums and like trying to think. I've probably introduced Doug Stanhope to a million people. Just but yeah, I can't really off the top of my head think of anything else I would have shared with somebody. Put Them Up, or what is it? The New York show with Eugene Merman had a show, or
I don't know that one.
Oh, it was a show in New York that they did, recorded an album, so it's got a bunch of people on it, and that was really funny to me. So I definitely probably shared that with somebody, burnt a CD and gave it to somebody.
Yeah,
but
I should listen to that. I love Eugene Merman.
Yeah, what was his old show? It was Put Them Up, or yeah, I'll look it up and let you know.
Okay, all right. How about this album, though? I mean, have you ever said, hey, you should listen to this, or do you assume everybody has because it's Woody Allen?
No, I mean, no, I don't. It's kind of dated,
Sure.
But, so if I was to tell people this is the best album in the world, they'd listen to it and go, really?
Right.
But, and I don't know if I think it's the best album in the world. It's just an album that was important to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, do you still, when you listen to it, do you still get stuff that you can pick out and you hear something new, you're like, oh, there's a new twist or there's a new piece, or do you have it basically memorized?
Basically memorized, I think, this album, but then I couldn't find it when I was going to listen to it, so I ended up downloading essentially what the album's it's based off of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a bunch of stuff that I hadn't listened to as much because I'd listened to this album so much, so there was stuff that had been cut that I listened to it, and so that was new. But I could definitely tell the stuff that was on this album because as soon as it started, I'm like, oh, I know this whole thing.
Yeah.
Beat for beat.
So, all right. How about growing up as far as comedy? What was your first exposure to comedy in general? Was it TV stuff? I know you're talking about you like to watch a lot of stand-ups on TV.
Yeah, I mean, that Bob and Tom stuff that my uncle would give me. But we went to visit my uncle one time. We went to a comedy club. And I don't know how old I was, 14 or something. But I remember thinking it was so funny. The comics on stage were so funny. I remember the one guy doing he did a Johnny Carson impression. And I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Of course.
So, yeah, I'm no snob. I didn't grow up being like, oh, Steve Martin's the first exposure I had to comedy. It was just garbage comedy. But yes, I definitely was the first time I saw it live, and then I just got way into Conan in college, and so all the comics he had, back then I definitely would watch. For sure. Yeah.
Let's see. So all right. So you move. So when you first moved out here to LA, I mean, what was the scene like? How's the scene different out here if you compare the three? If you compare.
Oh, well, I mean, out here there's people struggling and people doing great, just shoulder to shoulder, or, on the same lineups and stuff a lot of times. So that's interesting, and it's for the people that aren't well known to be on shows that are known for having famous people. Depending on the show, it can be tough. If you're, we're here to see somebody famous, but we got to put up with this guy.
Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of an interesting dilemma sometimes. You see people doing really well, and you're like, or you see people that should be doing really well not doing well because of the vibe in the room. So that you don't see anywhere else.
Really? That's interesting.
I mean, you wouldn't have lineups that are like that.
Yeah.
You'd have an opener, a middle, and then your headliner or whatever, but you wouldn't have okay, now you're following Mark Maron today. No name person, you know?
Shit.
So LA is kind of a weird animal that way, but I've always liked the challenge of following somebody I have no right following.
Is it just, can you feel the room change when you're doing your act? Because it is very different from what a lot of people do.
Yeah, certain rooms, like I do Meltdown a fair amount now. Or I used to do it more, but that was definitely like, I could feel like almost like a connection with that group of more than some places, you know, just because they were, I don't know, I think they related to me a little more than some rooms.
Okay.
Because it is a comic book store. It's
Sure.
like a nerdy group of people, you know, like hip nerds. So.
Yeah.
So that's always been a good room for me for that. Like I could feel where I fit in there more, and even though, you know, somebody maybe more famous doesn't do as well as I would do there because it's just the right fit, you know.
Yeah.
But then I can feel other times where, like I just did a show where I was following a bunch of like high energy storytellers, and then I went up and I had 10 minutes, and I was like, I'm gonna need all 10 minutes to get them to think the way I'm thinking. You know, they're not gonna know what hit them just compared to who was before me.
Of course,
and it was just a like uphill sledding the whole way.
Right. God, that's a challenge. That's kind of.
But then afterwards, like a ton of people were like, "You were so funny," but they just didn't know what to make of me at the time.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I can see that. I people do get like if there's a theme to the night or just kind of feel to it. It is weird to have a new peak or a new valley. You know. Did you after this? I mean, or before this? Did you watch any Woody Allen films? Are you a fan of his films?
Yeah. Then about that same time, I was actually driving taxi on the side, doing comedy.
Okay.
Driving taxi, and one of my fellow cab drivers was like, Woody Allen was his favorite filmmaker, so like he kind of just gave me like a schooling on Woody Allen. So I watched a lot of his movies, you know, right around that time. I still haven't seen nearly, you know, even some of the classic ones I haven't seen. So
yeah, no, same here. But I do. I mean, I love his stuff. Do you have a favorite of the ones that you've seen?
Annie Hall's great. I like the last one, or not, 2 ones ago, with won a bunch of acting Oscars.
Oh, I didn't see that one either. I'm way behind on the new ones.
Yeah, that was great. The one that Louis C.K.'s in it, and like, yeah, that one's great. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a woman.
Jasmine, isn't Jasmine?
Yeah,
the name?
Blue Jasmine.
There we go.
Yeah, Blue Jasmine. That one's great. Yeah, Annie Hall's great. Yeah, I mean, you watch Woody Allen's movies and you're like, take a couple of years off and really flesh this out, though. You're
Right,
like, you
right.
don't have to do one a year. Like, so there's too many movies where he's repeating himself, and then there's some that are really inventive, interesting movies. The one where like Robin Williams is like fading away.
Oh,
that one's. I saw that a long time ago, but I remember liking it. But yeah, there's a lot of them that are the same, and then there's some that are crazy inventive, like so.
Yeah. I feel like Annie Hall might be. Have you ever seen Take the Money and Run? That would be one that.
I think I have.
That one's. I mean, it's the goofier, and it's weird to mention to people who really love his artier films. But
it's almost like a Naked Gun sort of. Like
I mean, it's a fake documentary, but there's some really brilliant jokes in it.
Yeah.
That's just one that when I think of Woody Allen compared to like this kind of comedy, I think like, oh well, clearly that's the same dude writing that stuff,
right?
You know. Whereas Annie Hall, it's like, well, all right, I'm gonna get into life. I'm gonna explore. Although there's some really great jokes in Annie Hall too. Like it's a very jokey movie.
Yeah, very. But the jokes are like straight from his stand-up too, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great movie. It's the relationship's interesting just in that movie. Like it's it's like, oh, I've had that same relationship.
Yeah. And I do wonder if that's a creative person thing, if having those, or maybe those relationships are typical and that's why it resonates with people. But it is funny to watch his movies because sometimes they do have a tinge of, well, the reason you've had this life experience is because you're this kind of person,
right?
Which is a thing that a lot of entertainment people maybe can relate to better.
Yeah,
maybe crazy actors / actresses is a thing that a lot of us run into if you're in this business. So let's see. Let me make sure that I'm not. Okay, good. We're doing fine. Oof. And there goes everything. Let's see. So, So when you picked apart, so you unfortunately had to download 3 albums, and I'm sorry about that. I wish I had known. I would have sent it to you. I would have sent the MP3 of it.
I didn't. I thought I had it, and I could not find it. Like I put everything in boxes, and I don't know where it's at.
Sure. So did you find anything new listening to those, or is it pretty?
I mean, it's pretty locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did strike me that like a lot of the listening to it again, I was like, oh, there are a lot of references I just don't get.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first listened to it, I didn't care. Like, but now that I'm just kind of listening to it, I'm not laughing because I haven't. I know the thing inside now. It was just like, oh yeah, I don't really know what that means.
Right.
But yeah, it's fun.
Do you? Let's see. Are there any jokes that are in your act now that you've had to like chop up or really tweak the hell out of to make work? I'm curious because again, they feel tight and they feel like, well, because it seems small, it must have been easy to put together, which I know is not the case, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me grab a set list.
There we go.
I can't remember. I have my little notebook with me. I have a set later tonight, and I didn't know if I was going to get home. Yeah, I don't know. They come. I mean, they're in my brain for a long time, but by the time they hit the paper, they're pretty well formed.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a good instinct after doing it for a lot of years what's going to work and what's not going to, or what's a challenge. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that I maybe got wrong, but sensed it was wrong, and just kept figuring it out. I can't think of anything. I'm sure that's happened. That no kids joke was definitely like, okay, this joke's funnier than the response. What's wrong with it? But that was from very early on.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know.
Do you write them down word for word when you write them down?
Yeah, definitely. Well, no. If I write them on Twitter usually now, and if they don't fit, I write some bastardized version of it. But I just write the thing I'll put on my set list, which is like 2 or 3 words.
Okay.
So I don't write them word for word.
Okay.
But they're in my head word for word.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's a mnemonic for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just once I figure it out, it like locks into place, and that's how it's going to be told.
Yeah, it's weird. After doing this podcast for 4 years, I think it's the first time I've ever asked somebody to get out their set list and tell me what the fuck, because it's an interesting process to me. So I want to make sure that we first of all, your album, Poems About the Ocean.
Yeah.
When did that come out, actually? I was given it very kindly, but what year was it? I don't have it in front.
Probably 3 years, 2012?
2012? Okay.
12 or 13.
Do you have another album upcoming?
No, I don't. I want to. It's a fun process putting together the album. I really enjoyed that process. But
it really is great. I want to make sure people listen to this album. It is a wonderful album, and it's got great cover art. Dave Klock is a genius. So
yeah. It was a lot of fun, and then working with Dave and stuff, like, I was like, it's a weird album. I was like looking at all his Meltdown posters, and I was like, you like drawing hands, don't you? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, I got this idea for this thing, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then he wanted to do watercolors. He's like, I've been dabbling with watercolors. Let's do some watercolors.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about.
It's wonderful.
But yeah, it was fun. I mean, if you had come to my house during the month leading up to, or the couple of months leading up to doing the album, first Jonah Ray talked me into doing the album. I didn't even want to do it. Talked me into it, hooked me up with a special thing, which I knew Belknap. I hadn't yet known McManaman. But then I think he talked me into it like in February or something. I was opening for his album. His album was opening for the recording of that.
That's right, of course. What the fuck? Where's my brain? I was there for that recording. So
yeah, and I think that's where I was like, okay, I'll do an album, and then like essentially had 3 months to put it together, and I didn't once do a set over like 10 minutes long leading up to the recording of the album, so I just put it in chunks and rehearsed the chunks. So I'd never done it front to back before recording it, and we recorded in one shot.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it was fun. But yeah, my living room, I have hardwood floors, and it just had papers all over, like it was CSI investigation. It's like I'm rearranging stuff and like drawing arrows across, and
God,
I would have looked like a murderer if you'd walked in my apartment.
That's amazing. It's a lot. I mean, people may be underestimating. Even I'm underestimating the work that it takes and the stress that it takes to put something together.
Because it's one of those things where I never had the chance to do like a 45-minute set on the road leading up to when I was recording it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I gotta practice it in LA, and I can't practice it, and there's some bits that I'd only told maybe once before they were on the album.
Right.
And maybe I've never told them since.
Yeah. I was just thinking about this. What if you'd had the opportunity when you started, let's say within the first 2 years of being a comic, let's say somebody saw you and liked your stuff, even if you look back now and don't really like all the stuff you did, and they said, let's make an album. Can you can you think of what that album would have been? Would there have been, what the 45 minutes or so would have been that you would have put on an album?
Yeah, I mean,
would it be painful to listen to now?
It would be very painful to listen to, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was doing, like, when I was living in Texas, I did some headlining gigs, so I've done sets that were that long.
Yeah.
But there was just, there's painful dips that are just, like, the top end stuff is probably all right, but then the dips, would have been brutal.
Okay.
And yeah, my delivery wouldn't have been very good, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that, like, you tweaked your delivery, you lucked into this new social media thing happening, and then all that just comes together, and then I've got enough that somebody's making me do an album, which I love. It's an interesting story that people are just like, no, you need to keep doing this. Yeah. People can see that, like, no, people need to hear your album.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
It's definitely been a few people along the way that have done that. Definitely kept me going.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's make sure that people know, where can they find you online.
Twitter, it's Jim_Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
My website, which is never updated, is jimhamiltoncomedy.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my album's on a special thing, so they can get it from iTunes or the website. AST Records, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. So, and also, if you're going to recommend to anybody in a couple sentences why to listen to this album if they haven't heard it before, what's a good reason to listen to?
Listen to Woody Allen stand-up comic, it's just, I mean, the moose bit alone, it's a perfect joke, but they're absurd jokes that are more than, it's not just silliness for silliness sake, like it always has a point, the bullet in the breast pocket, like,
God.
Just if we had the track listing, I think we'd have a much better conversation. Like, I'm just kind of remembering one at a time here, but bullet in the breast pocket, like, the sink my boats, so many, like, great jokes that mean more than they seem to mean.
Yeah. Well, and there's this thing where, he talks about like being in analysis. He talks all this insecurity that's coming out in his stand-up that I don't know was necessarily a common thing.
Yeah.
Before then, it was, I'm being nagged by my wife, or I've got this or that, and he's even got jokes about his own wife, and divorce and stuff. But they come from this perspective of this super nebbishy guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, for somebody like me, for a nerd like myself, I'm trying to pull up the track listing right now. See, for one of the first results is Moose Story. Oh wow, this is an entire transcript of the entire album. This is amazing. I'm gonna have to put this online. But I mean, again, like I said, you said you go to Meltdown. There's a bunch of nerds. They can relate to you. I feel like there must have been people who wanted this kind of thing at the time.
Yeah, I think it probably what drew him, because he was playing The Village, and it was like him and Cosby and stuff. Like, with, like, the different wave, and it was a more personal sort of, like, it was that time when people were into folk music, and it was like, like, it was, okay, he's smarter than we are, or as smart as we are, He's showing his insecurity, he's being personal, he's and telling great jokes, and, he's got, I mean, some kind of hipness to him that I don't understand. Like,
right.
Like, So, it was, it would have been an interesting time to be back in the Village, and, like, I saw this great article that was just from back then about him and Cosby just being, like, the new wave of comedian, and it was really interesting.
That's so weird. That's okay, so here we go. I do have a track listing, so that maybe this will help a little, but maybe. We got Private Life, we have Brooklyn, The Army, Pets, My Grandfather, then Bullet in My Breast Pocket. But literally, like, this is a word by word, word for word transcript of the entire thing. I don't know, maybe looking at the track listing will jog your memory a little bit.
So he, let's see. I mean, I remember the one thing he did, he was having sex and he was thinking about baseball, and he goes, like, play by play with the baseball, like, he's describing, like, she digs her nails into my back, and Koufax steals second or whatever. Like he's like going back and forth, and he's at the end. He's like, oh, this is too personal. I can't. The Giants won. It's just so stupid. Yeah, the Eggs Benedict story. He's like, I have a pain in my chest pocket, and I didn't want to pay for the doctors, but my friend Eggs Benedict had a pain in his chestal area, so I sent him to the doctor, and he paid us $25. Turns out it was heartburn. Feel like I won. Call Eggs 2 days later. He died. Race to the hospital, get a bunch of tests and x-rays. Cost me $110. It was heartburn. I'm furious. I go to Egg's mom. I'm like, did he suffer? She's like, no. He got hit by a car and that was it. It's like the dumbest, like, Catskills sort of, like, joke.
Of course.
But
he's got that weird mix. That's the one thing that's always struck me, is there's a weird mix of that.
Yeah.
That same kind of... and actually, I think we were talking about...
And why is his friend named Eggs Benedict?
Yes,
like,
right. Right. When I was talking... I had met Belknap on the show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Stephen Wright, and it never occurred to me that like, modern one-liner jokes do kind of have... They kind of have the spirit of vaudeville, even if it's not the same kind of... Or the Catskills, even if it's not the same exact... It's not shticky, but to some people, because it's different than regular stand-up, it might feel shticky. Yeah.
It's, like, Dave Attell, who I used to know pretty well. I don't really see him anymore, but he... I think I read an interview or something, or maybe we talked about it, but he's like, I'm a joke writer. He's like, you know, I'm a drunken buffoon, but I'm just writing jokes. They're jokes, you know? And, like, I think that's the difference between, you know, Henny Youngman and Stephen Wright, is Stephen Wright's added a twist, or Hedberg is, you know, they added a twist to it to make it like, oh, this is a real person telling these jokes. And the jokes tend to center around, you know, Hedberg's all about, like, half his jokes are about food. He's just like a stoner eating food. Like, so, it's the spirit of, like, Henny Youngman and stuff, and but then making it your own.
Well, this is awesome. We haven't talked about this album in a while. It's funny, one other person brought this up recently too, and I had to say sorry. Somebody else is doing it because it's not. Damn cats. It's like, I don't know. It's seminal and it's wonderful, and it's a great compilation to listen to this guy who, you know, arguably a genius, developing on stage. And then also to have this great act and just like, no, bye. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do a movie a year.
I'm going to play clarinet.
I'm going to play clarinet. Oh, God. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, make sure you follow him on Twitter, because that's where his act starts. So that's and that's awesome. Buy his album. And, you know, Woody Allen's album is very easy to find, so you should go buy that too. Listen to them both. Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on facebook.com/comedyonvinyl, Twitter @comedyonvinyl, and find everything else at comedyonvinyl.com.